What's up, YouTube? It's your girl Latrina, and I am back again today with another tarot spread read. And starting off in our first row, we get the Nine of Cups in the reverse. And you know that Nine of Cups, it speaks of overindulgence when it is in the upright. And we also get the Temperance card with the message of the Show Me Your ID on there. And we get the Wealthy Man. And this card did come out in the reverse. This Wealthy Man is in the reverse due to some type of something that he can't get enough of, this Wealthy Man. And then we get the Fertility card in the reverse. You know, which speaks of something that is actively growing, but this is in the reverse. So that means that something is not growing. Somebody cannot get enough, and it may be this Wealthy Man in the reverse cannot get enough of something regarding an identification issue with this Show Me Your ID card and trying to bring two things together. It looks like this Wealthy Man cannot get enough of trying to bring, he just will not stop. And it may even have something to do with, drinking alcohol. Because, temperance, whenever you see that card in the original tarot, it does come out depicting, two liquids that are being combined, poured into a combination together. So I always see that as just two things coming together, somebody trying to bring two things together regarding an identification issue and regarding a wealthy man and something that he's trying to make grow. He's trying to bring something together, something that he cannot get enough of, dealing with an identification issue, trying to bring something together regarding that. And we also get the Five of Pentacles card, which does speak of someone being left out in the cold or feeling like they're left out in the cold. And then we get this Five of Pentacles. Hold up, we get it. Two Five of Pentacles. And then we get the message of the Liar on top of that Five of Pentacles card. Now, I didn't even notice that this is very significant that we get two Five of Pentacles in this second row here, coming right on top of one another, one right on top of the other. So it seems like this Liar may be showing up as this wealthy man in the reverse, which means he's not wealthy. He's actually poor. This man is actually poor, and he got a double Five of Pentacles coming out, which it means, left out in the cold. That Five of Pentacles speaks of that. And then we get the House card in the reverse, which is the Tower card in the traditional tarot deck. And whenever you see that in the reverse, it does speak of, some kind of a property, a structure that's coming down to the third power, almost like it's even worse than the Tower when it's in the reverse. Because not only is someone trying to avoid this structure from falling or they're trying to, avoid being left out in the cold from this structure also, because we got two five of pentacles. And these two fives, they speak of change whenever you see them show up in the spread. And then, we get the foundation, the firm foundation card in the reverse, also coming out in that second row with the tower in the reverse. So that does, confirm that this is like a heavy hitting tower. This is even worse than the tower. Somebody's structure has completely come down regarding this house that they've been trying to avoid, being left out in the cold from, with these double five of pentacles coming out in the very same row. So this tower and this house, and somebody's attempt to try to keep this house, afloat. There's been a change to this situation with these fives coming out. It's a drastic change also to this house and this structure when you see this coming out in the reverse. Because someone couldn't get enough of doing something, regarding some kind of false identification, some type of fraudulent matter that they was trying to bring together, and they was trying to come out of a situation. They was trying to make something grow that didn't have any fertility to it. Whatever situation that we are speaking of, that this wealthy man was trying to balance out and trying to bring together regarding an identification, someone's identification he was trying to bring together. And he couldn't get enough of using someone's identification. He just could not stop, because when you see the overindulgence in the reverse, that means underindulged, Someone could not get enough is what I'm thinking, that means. Because then we next get the 10 of sword in the reverse, which is that house crusher card. Someone is intentionally trying to destroy this little house or this little cottage coming out. You really can't see the house in this. Yeah, you can see it right there to the side. This otherworldly being is actually stepping on that structure to crush it, And it's funny, to hear myself saying that otherworldly being, because it depicts a guy that looks like an alien, something that's not of this world is actually crushing this structure here, because of the change that did come about in this second row with these two five of pentacles. And I'm assuming that whatever otherworldly being, a higher authority, someone that is not of this world, did bring a change to this structure, because they brought a change to it in here in this third row by crushing it with their feet, And let's see what this third row in it, and then we get the death card with the message of the STD on top of it. Possibly, that STD, could have brought his house down, And I'm not speaking in a literal way. I mean in figurative speech, Because it could prevent you from working, or it could prevent you from even thriving, because there's this lack of fertility. Someone may be struggling with that. And then we get the sudden wealth card coming out in that third row, right with this 10 of swords and right with this death card. Also, with this transformation, that's two death cards in one row. And that's coming out in this third row. Because in the traditional tarot, that transformation is the death card. So we do get two death cards coming right out in that third row, which is it's not a coincidence to see two death cards with the message of the STD on it. And maybe this actual STD will bring someone to their death, you know? And then, with this house crushing card, and then this house here, this tower coming out with these changes in this second row. And I'm not sure why we see the sudden wealth show up with this death. And maybe this sudden wealth may bring it, maybe this death may bring a sudden wealth, you know, to someone. That someone, some otherworldly being, something that's not of this world, did bring this structure down with this tower, and it's left someone out in the cold, and it did have a wealthy man in that very first row, maybe in an attempt to attain sudden wealth. It's brought somebody to a death, trying to gain a sudden wealth, and probably even trying to maintain ownership of a property, or trying to keep up some kind of a fraudulent, some sort of a fraudulent activity regarding this house that's left someone feeling out in the cold. That sudden wealth is a little confusing when you see death and then you see the Ten of Swords, because that's just bringing something to a complete end. And then two death cards along with the Ten of Swords and the transformation message. We next get the Five of Swords coming out, which does speak of, I want to say it speaks of winning at all costs. And then you can also see a depiction of some more otherworldly beings in the background. And I usually see these figures and these images or these characters as like the ancestors. It looks like someone's being chased down and haunted by their thoughts or by the ancestors for something that they did to attain sudden wealth, which they did bring a house down. There's been a transformation by way of the death card, and it's also been a transformation by way of this STD that's coming out in this third row, probably upon this wealthy man that came out in the very first row. It looks like this individual that is feeling left out in the cold is actually being haunted, and he's actually being visited by otherworldly beings. And we get the Emperor in the reverse coming out in that fourth row with the message of none of the audio was recorded. So it looks like this Emperor, may have been being under surveillance. When you see something that was being recorded, and I know it says the audio was not recorded. And then we get the memories of love in the reverse, which does speak of the Six of Cups in the regular tarot spread deck. And so this usually tells me that something is currently happening, because in the upright it means memories of love. That's from past, some past memories. But in the reverse, this is presently, got this person under surveillance, and it's got an emperor under surveillance is what it is. And he's actually being chased down by some otherworldly beings, coming out looking like the ancestors are haunting him, or some of the spirits, or past actions, or thoughts, or because those swords can represent words and thoughts. And we get the poverty card coming out in that fourth row. It's the very last card coming out right with this emperor. And it looks like he's being, presently, he's being haunted. He's presently being haunted. And he's even presently in poverty. And he's even presently, this is another 5. So that's 3 5s. We got 5, 5, 5. That's change, change, change has come onto this tarot spread. And I'm assuming this emperor has gotten some change, when you see this death card and this tower, and then a triple 5, that's 3 5s. Change, change, change. And then we get this 10 of swords, which is the complete end of something, which is is showing up as a structure along with this tower in the reverse. And then this transformation, this is a double death here, a double death, which, you don't want to be sounding happy about somebody's death or any type of a complete end, because that 10 of swords, it depicts a complete end as well. And it may be a complete end to their sudden wealth, or what they was trying to attain as the sudden wealth situation, because they were trying to balance some things and bring some things together regarding some identification matter, and it's, like I said, it's got something to do with the wealthy man, which is showing up as the emperor in the reverse. And it may be 2 individuals that's going through this tower and being out in the cold. And then we get another 10 of cups, which does speak of the family, but it is in the reverse. That 10 of cups, it shows someone, it looks like they're in a departure. But it is in the reverse. And it does traditionally speak of the family when it's in the regular tarot spread. And then we get the 8 of swords in the reverse, which, it has the message of freedom from drugs in the reverse. So that means someone is an addict also, which it's probably this emperor that's showing up in poverty and even addicted to drugs, and probably facing some imprisonment too when you see that 8 of swords coming out, because it does speak of imprisonment. And also it speaks of someone, in the reverse, the 8 of swords, being released, It can speak of freedom, because when it's in the upright, someone is wrapped and trapped in their head, and they're probably wrapped and trapped in their head due to these addictions that they may be suffering from, because there is no freedom from drugs. And it's regarding a family, this is regarding a family. And then we get the 2 5s, change, in the two 10s and 2 death cards. It's just speaking of something being over for this emperor. And then we get on this very last row, the unexpected income in the reverse. He did not attain that unexpected income. When I seen that sudden wealth, I was wondering, like, well, what is this sudden wealth about? It was someone trying to mix two identities together, maybe make appear as someone else. Things have slowed down, when it comes to this situation, because we get the accelerated motion card in the reverse. So things have come to a halt, regarding this sudden wealth and this unexpected income. Something has come to a creeping crawl, a stop, because we got the 10-10 twice, and we got the 5-5 twice, the 5 of Pentacles twice, which speaks of change, and then the Death card twice, and that is just not a coincidence. Whenever you see this transformation showing up right on top of the Death card, that's double Death card right there in that third row, to a situation, and this situation that there was a double death onto was probably regarding this house, that did come down as a tower, a double tower, and somebody trying to even crush a house. We got 10-10, 5-5-5, got a triple 5. And someone's dealing with some addictions, they're not able, they are completely consumed with addictions, and they're probably trapped by them also. The addictions are imposing an entrapment upon this individual.